how does the actual Communist Party, is it like how in the elections and whatnot, like how popular is it? Like the non.
I wouldn't know about how they run things, but funnily enough, a lot of the comics from back home, from the Philippines, actually, we've done shows with some of the more the lower profile members of that party.
There's a comedy scene.
There's a
communist comedy scene.
Who books that?
It's weird, man. It's
no
weird
drink minimum.
While we were doing the show, we saw at least 2 cop cars drive by, like because the bar that we were doing it at was a known hot spot, right? So we've had cars drive by once or twice, and everybody was just outside having just smoking cigarettes inside. We're having a great time, but then not far off, we were seeing cop cars drive by so frequently. So it was an interesting time. But a lot of them just like want to get into comedy because like everything else, it's just a way to express their frustration.
We should have booked a communist. Why are we booking you? We should have booked a communist.
You want me to hook you
comedian.
Up?
No, wait, you're telling me that even the Filipino communist militant rebels want to be comedians too?
Yeah.
How many of them have podcasts?
That's where the Patreon money comes.
They're on
from,
Patreon.
Right? Yeah, they're on Patreon as well.
Number one.
I've done a show with a group of them that's associated with them, so it's not as crazy as you think. They're actually okay people. Just a little more militant than the usual people you hang
There
around
are rooms in Brooklyn where the people are to the left and more militant than these people, I'm sure.
So do they do you have to worry about what you joke about when you're doing those shows?
When I'm around them? No, man, because they actually have a good sense of humor. I used to
they're not like American communists. They have a sense of humor and other things.
They have a good sense of humor. This one guy, the head guy, I should say, what he used to do was he used to write this long monologue, right? And instead of telling it on stage, he gets his 2 preteen daughters to do it. So like 9 and 10-year-old girls would go up on stage and start talking about President Duterte. It was the most messed up thing ever because the kid would just go there and people were just staring at them.
And it wasn't a comment. They weren't hitting
kids bombs.
The kids were basically bombing, if you think about it. But nobody would tell them that because they were kids, right? They were little girls.
Were they supposed to be funny or was it not?
The dad's main focus was to get the point across.
Yeah.
It wasn't to drop a punchline.
More of a Bill Hicks set.
Yeah, exactly.
If Bill Hicks used his daughter. Oh my god!
It was just a trip to watch because to see two little girls talk about Marxism and then talk about anal sex in the same set. And the dad was very open about it. It was so strange, right?
And then afterwards, Chino, did the little girls come and try to collect taxes from all your guys?
They stick around for tips? I don't think so.
Tips, mandatory tips.
They have the number 2 podcast now in the Philippines. Those 2 girls.
So what? Second to the Class Clown podcast. Check it out on all your networks. So what is? Because I can't imagine, Kaplan, if we had a group like that in the U.S., every single president we've had in our history would just go in there and blast them out, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah. Well, we don't have. I mean, I guess it's easier in America. It's not like far. I don't know. We have like the best military. We could just do anything. So you can't. I can't imagine it. We can't. That's why we're looking forward to the future where we get to that. I guess is what you're trying to say. But I can't imagine it in the history of America of having this. But we are supposed to have militias. That was supposed to be our founding
militias
purpose.
are coming. We've heard, they're currently forming in outer Michigan.
But I mean, in the original, exactly, they're coming, and it's very throwback to like a simpler time, and like a picture like Italy, like
simpler time
when you just had like lawlessness and.
So Chino, what like when they were getting started? I guess you said they just really came to power in the 80s. How come there hasn't been a single leader in the past, a president in the past, who's just really gone hard into him? Or I guess here's a better question. is their goal to take over the country, or is their goal to become a legitimate party?
Their goal is to actually become a legitimate party.
Okay.
That's the goal that they've been after. They wanted to offer an option. That's how they started out. Like I said, Joma Season, the leader of this group, didn't really. I don't think he ever ran for public office. I don't think, but he just wanted to show people a different side. I don't really know what he was arrested for, but he was arrested for something, and that's how everything just swerved into the direction that it's in right now, because he doesn't want to come back because he doesn't know what will happen to him. His group has been villainized so intensely that their goals are basically askew now. Now people are saying that they're out to topple the government, but I never really saw it as that.
Yeah. When you read online, it says the goals are to overthrow the government, to become institute Marxism, to all the things that communist governments have done in the past. All the main hits. Play all the hits.
Play all the classics.
Take the money away from the rich, redistribute it to the poor.
The international
all that kind of stuff. So
they want to kick America out of the country, right? They don't want America to be involved.
Oh, that was a big thing too. Yeah, to get the U.S. influence out of the country.
Yes, that was a bigger deal in the early 90s when the American bases were still around.
Yeah, the bases are all closed now.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that just takes away something from there.
But does Duterte and other leaders almost like having them around because it's like a good deflection point? People are upset. Yeah.
That's how it's looking out to be. He's trying to divert the problems onto a different group instead of addressing the problems that are present. I mean, we're still going through a pandemic. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with the government's plan. But here comes President Duterte with his war against the communists. That takes precedent over everything else.
Yeah, which like I said, it's when we looked it up, according to the numbers, it's 3,000 people in the whole country. So it doesn't, I guess if they occupy part of land though, that makes it a bigger issue. But it seems like it's hard for 3,000 people to have much of an influence on a country. I don't know. It seems like he's making it out. On one hand, he's making it out to be a bigger issue than it is.
But it's 3,000 armed people. There could be other people who support them.
Maybe that's true. Maybe the military is 3,000 people.
I would assume. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I want to get into. Go ahead, Chino. Sorry.
The 3,000 people, I believe, are the armed NPAs, the New People's Army.
Okay.
That's, I think, what they were talking about. I don't think, because like I said, with this Karapatan group, there are other groups who are also being painted as communists out there in the country, who people say that are communists and have activist ties to the CCP, but aren't necessarily proven, because just recently there was this news that broke in a province, I believe in Samar, if I'm not mistaken, wherein the chief of police of that area demanded a list of lawyers who had ties to the CCP. This was after just a streak of killings of activists in that area as well. So lawyers in the country banded together and just said that, hey, hold on, we're not activists. We're not all activists here. We're not all communists here. You can't just give out our names just like that. So it's actually a more prominent problem now than it's ever been.
And there's kids. There's still a youth group. You mentioned Duterte was a member of it, and I know it's banned, but it still exists. It's just like underground where they train. Because I have children and they're very materialistic brats, so I'd like to turn them into communists if I can. so I might send them if you know a guy who can watch them, trustworthy.
I'll hook them up with that dad who got his daughters to do stand-up.
Yeah, because there's a youth. Yeah, it's like
they can play the communist comedy circuit in the Philippines.